Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Garden Obsessed. My name is Carla. I had a bit of a sleepless night last night. I think I'm excited because Jarrett signed us up to be in the Christmas parade this afternoon through his work. So I love this time of year and I think I'm just really excited. I haven't done any Christmas baking yet. I like to do it a little later on because I include a lot of it in Christmas gifts that I give to friends and family. But I'm feeling the need to start. It's almost December, not quite. We're having a warm day out today, so I think we're gonna get our outdoor lights up and we need some cookies to go along with that, right? So cookies are a huge part of my Christmas memories as a kid. This is not one of them, but I have all of my grandmother's Christmas cookie recipes. She was a big baker and we made cookies together. Like some of my earliest childhood memories are in the kitchen with my grandmother. And I'm feeling the need to start feeling the Christmas spirit. So I'll save her cookies for later on. Those are some of the ones I like to put in the baskets for friends and family. They are part of our collective Christmas memories, I guess you'd say. And actually some that I haven't made in quite a long time I'm planning to make this year. My mom asked me, I had been thinking about this anyway, that it had been a long time. I tend to always make her shortbread cookies and I always make sugar cookies. But she had a recipe for almond cookies that she would roll into like half moon shapes and we would dip one end in chocolate and sprinkle sprinkles or coconut or nuts or something on it. And I in particular was missing that cookie. And then my mom, we hadn't talked about it. She texted me literally that night and was like, do you remember these cookies that Grandma used to make and do you have the recipe for cherry icebox cookies? So I do have that recipe and I do remember her making them. So I'm gonna make both of those for sure this year along with the shortbread. And if you guys would like, let me know and I can share those recipes and take you along on that cooking journey. But today we are going to make whipped shortbread. They come together really quickly. They're delicious. They're like that light, fluffy shortbread. Unlike my grandmother's recipes, like a true shortbread. Like they're, a little bit of crunch on the outside and equally delicious, just in a different way. So these come together pretty quickly and feeling a little hoarse and things. I think I have some allergies kicked up. We had a windstorm the other day and there's just stuff in the air that's getting to me. So forgive my unbrushed hair and my hoarse voice, and I'll provide some details in voiceover later. I'll just bring you guys along with me. All right, let's get to this. All right, guys, here we go. I've got my trusty cookbook with me. This recipe calls for 1 cup of butter. So I'm just cutting a block in half. I'll set the other half aside and use that for something else later. I'm gonna get it into the mixer along with my sugar, and I'm going to let that cream together for quite a long time until it is light and fluffy. So the sugar that I'm using in this recipe is icing sugar, and it calls for 1/2 cup. My mom actually bought me this mixer for Christmas, probably like at least 15, maybe almost 20 years ago. And it is one of my most loved, most used Christmas gifts ever. They had it was like a Black Friday type of a deal, a sale. It was at Canadian Tire. And I just remember she wouldn't tell me what she got, but she was so excited that she had bought me something, and it ended up being this mixer, and I just love it. This and probably an SLR camera that she bought me when I was about 18 or 19 years old, I think are two of the gifts that have been used the most by me over the years and been loved the most. Do you guys have any gifts like that? Sorry for the vibration in the video here. I didn't realize that the mixer was doing that to the camera. So I'm just speeding it up here to get that sugar and butter creamed really well. In a little while you'll see me scrape it down, but I'm gonna let this go for quite a long time. So I'm just digging a bowl out here so that I can get my dry ingredients mixed together before I add them to my cookie dough. I've had this beating together for a little while, so I'm going to add, you can use either vanilla extract or today I'm using almond extract. I've always thought that almond extract goes really nicely with things with cherries in them. And it is a 1/4 teaspoon of either the vanilla or the almond extract. And I'm gonna let that whip for a little while longer. Okay, on to the flour. And you're gonna see me make a mistake here. I quickly glanced at my recipe, thinking I knew full well what I was doing, and thought I saw 3 cups of flour. It's actually 1 1/3 cups of flour. So I will spare you and fast forward my error here. Luckily I caught that in time and we've got it all sorted out. So the next thing that I'm going to add to my dry mix is cornstarch. This recipe calls for 1/3 of a cup. The last thing I'm adding to my mix here is some salt. I've just got some Himalayan pink salt in here, any salt will do, and I am adding about a 1/4 cup. You can skip this step if you are using salted butter, but I have used unsalted butter today, so I need to add that back in. This recipe can also be used to make cherry whipped shortbread. So I'm going to put cherries on top as decoration of my cookies today, and I won't be mixing in the candied cherries. But if you wanted to, you could finely chop some candied cherries and you could add a 1/2 cup to the batter along with your dry ingredients at this time. So I'm just giving a scrape down to the side of the bowl, and I am going to start adding my dry ingredients in a few different batches. I'll make 2 or 3 additions here and mix it in as I go. While I do like to whip the butter and the sugar together for a really long time to make sure that they are creamed well together and they are nice and fluffy, once I start adding the flour, I actually try to mix as little as possible. I just want it incorporated. You can end up with tough cookies if you over mix your flour. All right, we've got the batter all together here, or the dough, and it's a nice soft dough, especially because I had used room temperature butter. I made sure it was nice and soft before I started. And I am going to actually pipe these cookies. So I've got a large open star tip. that I have in a pastry bag. If you had a larger pastry bag, it would be a little easier. I'm only going to be able to fit about half of this dough in the bag at a time, but it will work just fine. It can be a little difficult to pipe through the first couple of cookies until like the butter will start to warm up even more as you hold it in the bag, and it will get a little easier to pipe. You know, the last half of your cookies will be easier to pipe than the first few. And you don't have to pipe these cookies. These would work really well in a cookie press as well. And I have also just made them as little drop cookies. Just use a spoon, drop, you know, relatively similar sized spoonfuls onto a cookie sheet and bake those, and they are just as tasty. All right, here we are set up. I've got my dough in my bag and I'm ready to start. A little bit of cooking spray underneath the parchment probably would have made this go a little smoother. It kind of slips and slides a little bit until you get a few cookies on and they weigh it down. This first cookie, I started in the middle and went to the outside. The next cookie, I'm going to do the opposite, and I actually preferred that. So just play around and see what you like. I've also done almost like lady fingers, where you just pipe like a line of dough and have like a finger type cookie. So really the possibilities are endless. You can do so many different things with these cookies. So I'm gonna just get these piped out, and I have my oven preheating. It's set at 350 degrees, and depending on the size of your cookie, in the recipe I have 12 minutes, but it doesn't actually take 12 minutes. I think today each cookie sheet took 10 minutes, and that was just about perfect. They were nice and light on the top and just starting to be golden brown on the bottoms. So watch your oven, every oven is different, and maybe start with 8 or 9 minutes and give them a check. All right, here's my first tray done. I put about a dozen cookies on each sheet. While these ones are in the oven, I will get a second cookie sheet out and get those cookies piped out onto it so that they're ready to go in as soon as these ones come out. But first, I didn't have my cherries pre-chopped, so I'm going to, if it's really large cherries, I quartered them. If they were smaller cherries, I just used half a cherry. Up to you, use whatever size you like. They also have green candied cherries a lot of times at this time of year, but our store was out of the green cherries and didn't think that they might be getting any more already for this season. So people are out there baking, guys. Like, get on it. If you need some specialty ingredients, you might want to go try to find them now. So I'm gonna have to look at a few stores, because those icebox cookies that my mom was talking about calls for red and green cherries. If I have to just use red, that'll be fine. But my grandmother always used to make them with the red and green, so it'd be nice if I could find the green cherries. All right, last few cherries going on here, and then these are going in the oven, like I said, at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 10 minutes. So this is the second tray that I'm pulling out here, guys, and I think I had another tray with just 3 cookies on it. So this recipe makes about 2 dozen plus a few cookies. I had 27 total, and they are wonderful. You do want to give them a minute to rest before you transfer them to your cooling rack, as they are quite delicate when you first take them out of the oven. But this is what we got, guys. It's Christmas up in here in Nova Scotia, and I couldn't be happier. All right, so I broke this one, putting it onto the tray. That means I get to eat it, right? So this is what they look like. You'd get a little less spread and retain a little more detail if you chilled them in the fridge first. I wasn't patient enough for that. And they all taste the same going down. I'll show you the bottoms. They're just nice golden brown. Perfect. They're tasty, guys. It's starting to taste like Christmas. So I would love if you guys would let me know what kinds of things you guys make at Christmas time. I really love Christmas traditions, and we've adopted a few over the years, and to me that's what gives me joy at Christmas time, is spending time with my friends and family, sharing treats, and remembering some people who are no longer with us, and remembering all the traditions and things we've done over the years. So go ahead and leave that stuff. I love hearing about it. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.